Madam Web, as you guys already know, wasn't the best of movies. Um, it had some difficulties. Um, you know, didn't really work for a lot of people. But yeah, Madam Web was it was an experience for some people, for sure. But recently, in case you haven't seen, Dakota Johnson, the lead actress, she has been having a couple things to say about the reception of the film. And I thought that these were actually quite refreshing, to hear, especially so early. Now, I've usually told y'all that actors, whenever they are doing a film, they usually have to market the film during and a little bit after, right? Like you can't go contributing to the failing of the film. So one of the things that ended up happening was Dakota Johnson, she been just very honest lately. Okay. Now, one thing that happened the moment this movie came out, she ended up dropping her agency, I believe, or her reps, because apparently she thought the movie was going to be one thing, and then all of a sudden, not so much. Um, and this was also reported here. It says here, as she previously hinted during the movie's publicity tour, Johnson said the project's script about a paramedic with psychic powers was radically changed from what she originally read. Yikes. Yikes. So basically, the Sony folks or whoever it was in charge, they pulled some shenanigans on her. Now, we heard something about this similarly. I think it was it was the guy Matthew Vaughn. I think when he was there was the Kingsman director, and he was talking about, like, with X-Men, how they bamboozled Halle Berry. They had a script where Storm was supposed to be helping these starving kids in Africa and making it rain and all that stuff, and then by the time the movie came around, that didn't happen. So it's not uncommon, nor is it unheard of, to have these you know I guess studios or producers pull a bait and switch, and just like trick these actors into making them think, yeah, it's going to be this, but then not so much. So here are a couple things that Dakota also said here, and I'll just kind of skim through some of this. But she said about Madam Web, it was definitely an experience for me to make that movie. I had never done anything like it before. I probably will never do anything like it again because I don't make sense in that world. And I know that now. Wow. Wow. Like, I really respect her honesty. I really do. She said, I ain't gonna do this mess no more. Listen, it's one thing to kind of like go through a comic book movie and let's just say it didn't work out. I mean, listen, people been part of flops before and then they just come back, They it's like, listen, it happens. Chris Evans was just talking about how he been part of movies that wasn't all that successful. And then what happened? At some point, you live long enough to come back and do better. Michael B. Jordan, he was in that Boo Boo Fantastic Four movie that did nobody care for. And then what happened? Came back as Killmonger, and he did a great job, right? So yeah, I'm a little sad that she's like, I'm never gonna do it again. But then again, if we're being honest, like, was anybody really checking for Dakota Johnson in comic book movies? Eh, so but I feel bad that was her experience. I feel bad that clearly she was bamboozled into this, into this movie, and that she's at this point where she's kind of like, yeah, not gonna do that no more. um let's see. Let's go on. What else she says? But sometimes in this industry, you sign on to something and it's one thing, and then as you're making it, it becomes a completely different thing, and you're like, wait, what? But it was a real learning experience, and of course, it's not nice to be a part of something that's ripped to shreds. But I can't say that I don't understand. She goes on to say here, It's so hard to get movies made, and in these big movies that get made, it's even starting to happen with the little ones. Decisions are being made by committees, and art does not do well when it's made by a committee. Films are made by a filmmaker and a team of artists around them. You cannot make art based off of numbers and algorithms. That's a shot at AI. My feeling has been for a long time that audiences are extremely smart and executives have to start believing that they're not. Or, I'm sorry, and executives have started to believe that audiences are not that smart. Audiences will always be able to sniff out BS. Woo! Okay, Dakota. Okay. Listen, she talking that talk now. I like that. She's right. She is totally right. I mean, we just talked about with Bob Iger sitting down with his team and with the creatives involved to figure out what works, what doesn't work. That's ideal. Yes, the movies, good movies, are made from a filmmaker and a team around that filmmaker. Good writers, good, cinematographers, good sound people, all of that, good music. That's the way you can make a good movie. And man, if you can get the CEO of the studio on the ground level as well, that's a great mixture. I like that process, right? Like, I feel like it increases your odds of getting a good product. And I think she's absolutely right. If you sit here and only make decisions because this movie made some good money or the algorithm says this and that, nah, man. It ain't about the views. It ain't about the dollars. It ain't about, no, that's not what it's about. It should be, given the fact that, like, yo, you have an artist, you have people with vision, you have people that understand the story, the characters, etc. That's what's going to be the difference. Because at the end of the day, we are going to know the difference as an audience. We're going to know, yo, this thing feels generic. Yo, this thing feels like a movie I've already seen before. We see stuff like that all the time. But when we get something new, fresh, original, different, man, that's when we be like, yo, this movie right here, right? So Dakota goes on, I like this here. She also joked about the stories that would come out after this interview, and she was like Dakota Johnson breaks her silence on Madam Web's effing box office failure, the actress said with a laugh. It's like, no, I'm not breaking any silence. I'm just talking. I am totally gonna label this video Dakota Johnson breaks her silence on the Madam Web box office failure. Yes, I'm going to label that because that is what it is. She could just be talking, but listen, she didn't have to. She didn't have to say all this. She could have played the typical role of most actors who are still under contract to promote the movie and just being like, "Oh no, 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 this is great. Oh no, this was so original. No, this was I love my character." She could have done all that. But she was just like, "Nah, this not this. I ain't coming back." I love that. And by the way, in case y'all missed it, I didn't see the whole thing, but Sydney Sweeney, she was also on Saturday Night Live, and she also poked fun at the movie too. And she said here, you've seen me in Anyone But You and your Euphoria. You definitely did not see me in Madam Web. Yikes. I love this. I don't think I've ever seen actors still under contract poking this much fun at movies that's still in theaters. Like, usually you gotta wait. Usually you gotta wait a couple months. You gotta wait till it hit DVD at least. But I like this. I like this. I like how it's coming from both of them. I like how both of them are like, nah, this movie right here, we understand. It ain't it. We get it. Nope. Thanks, but no thanks. I love it. I love it. I love it. But anyway, y'all let me know, what did you think about Dakota Johnson and Sydney Sweeney, just talking they talk about this movie and the poor reception? Whatever you think, let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. This was just a segment of one of my live chats, and if you're interested in joining in on the next one, be sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications for more. I've got more videos and reviews to do for you all, and until next time, I'll see you all later.